Hi, I'm Sue and here I am again to complete the instructions for the making of Kathy drawstring shorts. This is the second in a series of 2 videos and this one covers the making of the waistband and the hems. So in addition to the pieces already used, you're now going to need the back waistband, the front waistband and the casing pre-cut pieces. Also the tapes and of course the thread and later on the 2 labels. A quick reminder of a few things to think about before you start making. Seam allowances are 1.5 centimetres. Do use the magic marker pen where suggested and zigzag raw edges where advised because your fabric can have a tendency to fray easily. The care labels can either be attached before or after dyeing. If you're dyeing a dark colour, you need to attach after dyeing. And please only use the cotton thread supplied as explained so that you don't run out during the process. So don't use it for overlocking, but using for a wide zigzag where suggested, you will find there is enough thread to do this. So let's carry on with making. Your waist pieces are needed next, so identify the front and the back waistband pieces. The back piece has got 4 notches on one long edge. Place the back piece on top of the front piece with all the notches facing down, and you will have a single notch on the left of each waistband piece. Pin the short notched edge together as is shown in the second image, and then sew a 1.5 centimetre seam back stitching at the start and finish. Then press this with a medium heat iron, press it open on the wrong side. Now fold your waistband lengthways to form a crease down the centre and press with a medium heat iron or a 2-dot iron. Once you've formed the crease down the length of the waistband, open the waistband up again and pin the other short end together, stitching again a 1.5 centimetre seam. On the wrong side, press this seam open and you've now got your waistband loop ready to attach to your shorts. With your shorts the right way round and your waistband inside out, slot the waistband over the top of the shorts, lining up the notched edge with all the notches on the shorts panels. Line up the side seams with the side seams of the shorts and make sure that you pin the centre back seam of the shorts and the front seam flat. You can see the 2 pins close together in the middle of the third image. Put lots of pins around the waist area and then sew a 1.5 centimetre seam all the way around this waist edge, remembering to backstitch. Take care when sewing the pocket area because it's easy for the pockets to get folded up or rucked up and caught in your stitching line. So maybe hold these in place with a pin at the bottom of the pockets, but just make sure as you're sewing around, as you cross over the pockets area, that they are laid nice and flat. Grade the seam to remove some of the bulk of the fabric in the waistband seam by trimming away 5 millimeters of the seam allowance on the waistband. Then press the seam allowance towards the waistband and press under towards the waistband 1.5 centimeters of the edge of the waistband on the top edge. Fold your waistband along its crease to the inside of the shorts and line up the edge of the waistband with the sewing line where the shorts meet the waistband and pin in place all the way around, as you can see in the first photograph. Then on the outside you're going to secure this in place by top stitching on the waistband just 2 millimeters from its edge. So the second diagram shows the top stitching over the pins. Then repeat the top stitching with another line on the top edge of the waistband, again just 2 millimeters from the edge. Now take your final cut piece, the drawstring casing strip, and fold in the short edge at each end, fold them towards each other and press in place with a medium heat iron. As you did with the back pockets, just stitch a small 1 centimetre seam at these corners, backstitch to make sure they're secure. Trim away the tiny corners and do a tiny bit of grading on the side seams, as you can see in the third picture, to remove the bulk from this corner, so that you can then gently ease the corners the right way round using a pair of embroidery scissors or something similar with the blades closed to push out those corners and get them perfect little rectangles. Now press this turned in edge in place and press in 1 centimetre along both sides of the entire length of the casing strip. Top stitch at each short edge of the casing to secure those hems. Then it's time to attach the casing to the waistband. First fold the casing strip in half so you can find the centre point and place this centre point at the centre back of your shorts. Pin the casing on top of the waistband centrally, pinning from the back towards the front. You'll find that the two front edges of the casing don't meet. There'll be a gap between the left and the right of about 3 or 4 centimetres. Now, using a top stitch through all layers, stitch the casing onto the waistband, through the casing, through all layers of the waistband, starting at the front and back stitching to secure, sewing all the way around just 2 millimeters from the edge of the casing. Then repin along the bottom edge of the casing to make sure that the casing is evenly distributed and firmly attached, because it can have a tendency to stretch in relation to all the layers of the shorts, and you don't want it to ruck up or pucker up as you sew around. So we're top stitching the bottom of the casing onto the shorts waistband, again just 2 millimeters from its edge. Now take your magic marker and measure in 1.5 centimeters from each sewing line on the casing. You'll be left with a gap between your marks of about 1 centimeter. So you can see in the first image I've marked points all the way along the casing, each 1.5 centimeters in from the stitching line at the top and the bottom. This set of dotted lines is going to form the lines on which you sew, the guidelines for your next 2 sewing lines, which will form the channels for your casings. These channels will contain the 2 drawstrings, so they need to be as neat and parallel as you can. So starting at one end with some back stitching, follow your guidelines all the way along the casing and stitch 2 parallel lines. Finally, the hems. So turn up on each leg of your shorts 5 millimeters to the inside of your shorts. If these are a little bit frayed at this point, just trim off any rogue threads. Turn in 5 millimeters and press in place, and then stitch these down with a straight stitch. Now use your ruler or a tape measure and measure 4 centimeters along the hem of each leg. Turn this to the inside of your shorts and pin in place. Top stitch close to the inside fold of your hem or on top of the stitching line that you already have, all the way around the hem of each leg. And there you have it, your shorts are essentially finished. So just time to think about the labels. If you're going to leave your shorts white, attach your designer label and your care label at this point. The best place for the designer label, I think, is at the centre back of the shorts. So I've just stitched mine here down the 2 short edges positioned over the centre back seam. And the care label needs trimming and the edges neatening so it doesn't fray, folding in half and stitching to one of the seam allowances. It's traditional to stitch care labels to the left side of a garment. If you're going to garment dye your shorts a pale shade, then you can attach the labels at this point, because you'll still be able to see the print on the labels after dyeing. If you're going to dye a dark colour, I would suggest that you attach the labels after dyeing with a thread that matches the dye colour. Your drawstrings should be threaded through after washing or dyeing. So at this point, if your shorts are going to stay white, you need to wash them before you move on to threading the drawstrings. And if you're going to dye them, you need to dye your tape at the same time as dyeing your shorts. Once you have washed and dried or dyed and dried your shorts, you're ready to insert the drawstring tapes. So cut the tape supplied in half and use the pin supplied, attach it to one end of one of the tapes. Start with the bottom channel and thread the pin head into the channel, pushing in with your thumb or a finger towards your left hand. Push as much fabric as you can onto the pin and grab the pin head with your other hand and pull the fabric off the pin away from the pin, and keep using this motion, pushing the pin through, grabbing with one hand, pulling the fabric off with the other hand, and hopefully the little video shows this a little clearer. Once you've threaded both tapes through, tie a knot at the end of each tape. So your shorts are now finished and ready to wear. I do hope you get many years of wear from your shorts, and I'd be really interested to see how you decorate them, or what colour you dye them, how you style them. So please do give feedback at Couture Kit or #SoNaturallyStylish. Thank you for purchasing your kit, and we look forward to seeing images of your results.